Sameer, the video is ended. You can put me on the show now. Good afternoon and welcome to the day 2 of 23rd World Education Summit 2022 School Education. We now have our first panel discussion of the day, and the topic for the discussion is Leadership, Learning and Innovations in the Age of Disruptive Education. Before we begin, let me just welcome our esteemed panelists who are joining us today. We have with us Dr. Seema Negi, Principal Sanjeevani World School, Mumbai, Maharashtra. She's the moderator. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
We have Ms. Anjum Babu Khan, Director Education, Glendale Academy, Hyderabad. Welcome, ma'am. We have with us Mr. Shrikant B. Koganti, Director Kennedy School, Guntur, Andhra Pradesh. Welcome, sir. I don't see him on the screen right now. We will also have Ms. Anjali Razdan, Director Academics, Meluha International School, Hyderabad. The backend team, can we check on Mr. Shrikant B. Koganti? Shrikant sir was there.
Yes, I am there.
Yes, we have with us Mr. Shrikant Koganti. Welcome, sir. Shrikant sir, you can switch on your camera and your audio.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Mr. Shrikant Koganti is the Director, Kennedy School, Guntur, Andhra Pradesh. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. We will be having Ms. Anjali Razdan, Director Academics, Meluha International School, Hyderabad, joining us in a few minutes. But now I hand over the baton to Dr. Seema Negi, Principal Sanjeevani World School, Mumbai, who's the moderator of the session. Over to you now, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Tarunam. And once again, welcome everyone. We are going to deliberate on a very, very important topic because I think the word disruption is used so many times in all the field. It is not just about education, but we are using this word time and again. And when we talk about disruption and when we talk about leader, the disruptive leader is someone who is always looking for better solution and ways to establish new processes and wants to make an impact on the business as a whole without worrying about shaking up things or altering the path to obtain necessary results. And today we have empowered disruptive leaders here with us. So, the topic for the panel discussion is leadership, learning, and innovation in the age of disruptive education. So, before we move ahead with the panel discussion, I would like to go to Anju ma'am and would like to know her opening statement for this particular topic. Anju ma'am.
I think I'd like to first say that, being an education leader, we learned about leadership in learning, and it's a complete change. I mean, I'm from the United States, and after moving to India, it was a very hierarchical system. It was a very transactional leadership model, I think, that existed before. And slowly the trend is now changing to from transactional to transformational leadership, in which we're encouraging leadership density, basically changing that whole entire paradigm of leadership, that everybody can be a leader. A leader is not just somebody that is on the top, but everyone can make a difference, and everyone makes a difference together with that interdependence and collaboration. So that's my opening statement. If you'd like me to expand a little bit, I would, but I don't want to take up all the airtime.
Beautiful. That's beautiful and very rightly said. Transformational leadership is what we are looking forward to. And leadership is not about your chair. Leadership is not about how many people who are following you. Even if you are impacting one person's life, one person is following you in the right direction, you are a leader. And Anju ma'am, definitely you are a leader because there are many people who are following the kind of practices that you are doing in your school, and we'll come to that later. Moving ahead to Shrikant sir. Shrikant sir would like to know your opening remark about this particular topic. So you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just like Anju ma'am has told, it's about this age is we have seen a lot of disruption in education in the last 2 years, particularly due to this pandemic, and everything has to change, right from the leadership to the classroom transaction, to the assessments, the learning. So a lot of personalized learning, lot of online learning, many things both the teachers as well as the students have seen. So we need to gear up ourselves, what we can do to better our transactions and day-to-day thing. I mean, like, um, if at all, unfortunately, if there would be any other pandemic like this. So, and we have seen a lot of change in the child behavior in the last 2 years, because most of them are staying at home in the last 2 years. So, so everything has to change. All the leadership and the teachers have to innovate a lot in their day-to-day transaction, in their assessments and all. Right?
Rightly said, Shrikant sir. And indeed, disruptive leaders are those who possess uncommon qualities, like all of you who are there with us today, because you are the one who is making each and every child future ready. So, in case if in future we have any kind of adversity or unprecedented times, we know that we will keep on moving ahead. We will not stop thinking that, oh, this is the most uncommon or disruptive time. This brings me to Anjali ma'am. Anjali ma'am would like to know your opening statement regarding this particular topic. You need to unmute yourself. Anjali ma'am, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah. I said, hi, Seema ji, and hi, everybody. I'm my fellow panelists out here. My concept of leadership is, I think, to empower others. And I feel, leaders need not be just going alone and taking a stick in their hand, maybe lead from front or maybe lead from the back. But I think it's if you empower people and become, as stakeholders in this business of what we call education or any kind of thing, leaders should empower, should divide, should kind of spread the skills around to people so that it becomes easy when you take everybody's opinion, when you take everybody's point of view democratically, and of course to the point that the leader wants it. At the bottom line is the leader has seen it, it's got a bigger vision, it's got a bigger picture of the whole thing. So take everybody with the bigger picture, because then you'll get it from the heart of people rather than just thrust upon to go there by force. So for me, leadership is empowerment of other people, and I think that is the best leadership, to transform or to lead from back or front. Thank you.
To transform, to empower, to lead, whether from back or front, but be there for your team. How beautifully said, ma'am. And this is what a disruptive leader always does. The disruptive leader never stops because of adverse situation. And that is why I say that we have a very empowered panel today who is actually doing, and not just talking about these things, but you are the one who have actually experienced it, and you are taking your team forward. So let's begin with our mind-boggling session now, and we will start with Anjum ma'am. Anjum ma'am, we are talking about disruption time and again, but at the same time, disruption has paved way for creativity, more humanistic approach, and open new vistas of change. I would like to know your views about this thing.
Oops, sorry, I was trying to unmute. So the question is that you would like to know what it is that we're doing with transformational leadership?
Yes, and along with that, if you can also let us know that when we talk about disruption, we now say that because of disruption, I think it has paved the way for creativity also and more humanistic approach, because you also spoke about transformational leadership, and also new vistas of change are open for people. So would like to know more about that from you.
So basically, we follow the transformational leadership model that was first sort of in literature. You can find it with Bass. And there's basically 4 eyes that he identifies. Sorry for the disturbance in the back. So basically, the 4 eyes, I'll just kind of go through each of them. The first one would be basically inspirational motivation as an educator. First of all, we'd like to start with the why of learning. And it's very important to help teachers as well as students understand what is life worthy. What is it that we need to know that is life worthy? The second is idealized influence. And that is basically understanding from research, from neuroscience, from developmental psychology, how we learn. How is it that we teach children so that they can remember, so that it can impact them, that can, kind of settle down into their memories, be a part of their existing schema and expand their schema. And the third would be intellectual stimulation. Now, we can do this many ways. We have many ways that we do this, including the whole spectrum of multiple intelligence. And the more ways we teach, the more children we reach. And that's one of our mottos. So we basically follow a very holistic, a whole person approach to education. And it's about educating the body, mind, heart, and spirit. And last but not least is individualized attention, and that's with differentiation. And if we look at the universal design for learning model, it's removing any barriers to learning. So it's becoming more and more student centric. So I'm going to stop there because there's a lot of disturbance in the back, but it's basically making sure that each child, no matter what his capability is able to learn, and that the barrier is never in the student. It is always within the school and in the environment. And as educators, as disruptive educators, we need to remove all barriers to learning so that we make learning possible for each and every child.
That was so beautiful. Though we know that one size fits all approach is no longer there in education domain, but the way you take it forward, Anjum ma'am, with the holistic way, incorporating the multiple intelligence, for that I will again come back to you, because that is something I think the audience wants to know, and that will be very enlightening. So moving ahead, Mr. Shrikant, I would like to know from you, again, when we are talking about disruption and disruptive learning, do you think is tailor-made or customized learning will be the solution in this era?
Yeah, Dr. Seema, it's like we can think it's one way it's the solution, but at the same time, it's not the only solution. So definitely, some customization and tailor-made learning has been like it is already there for the past few years. We have been giving differentiated lesson plans and even the worksheets or the assessments and all. But now with this last 2 years of disruption in education, I've seen, because the students, when they are learning online, they feel that the teacher is giving a one-on-one lecture. So, hello. Yeah. So, can you hear me? I think there was
Yes,
some.
loud and
Hello.
clear. Please continue.
Just
Please
a
continue. Yes.
second. I think I'm sorry for this.
We can hear you clearly.
Yeah.
I think we have lost Mr. Shrikant. He will join us again soon. So we will move ahead, because this is what technology has taught us, that there will be a lot of disruption, and with technology, disruptions are a part of it. And again, I think there's a lot of disruption because I can see a lot of technical issues from our panelist side. So Anjum ma'am, again, I'm coming back to you. So we have Anjali ma'am. She has joined us. Anjali ma'am, you can unmute yourself, and Shrikant sir,
Yeah.
would you like to continue first?
Yeah. You can just go ahead. I can even talk later after. Yeah, I
Okay,
just
so
got this.
Anjali, this is technology, sir, happens. So Anjali ma'am, we would like to know from you. We are forced to
Yes.
innovate. We are forced to innovate and change our leadership style during the unprecedented times. What preparation should a school leader do to navigate the future journey as we are now coming out of this darkest era?
Yeah, I think I'm just digressing from school leaders should do. For that matter, any leader. I mean, a person who is taking the lead is a leader. So, the first thing in my dictionary that ever appears to me is adaptability. COVID-19, this tiny little virus has taught us this, that you're going to adapt, and if you don't adapt, you're finished, right? So we knew that earlier, but then this has taught us in a very concrete way that adaptability is what you have to do. Accept things the way they are. Adapt to tweaking either the circumstances or your roles or whatever. You have to come to the bottom line. I want this to happen. This has to happen. So the bottom line is that, and then from there we kind of adapt, we kind of tweak, we kind of merge with other thoughts, and then we go ahead. The second point that comes to me is once you adapted and you think it's working well, then I think it needs sustainability. Any idea, anything that we are taking, it needs to be sustained. Otherwise, it's here today, gone tomorrow. And that's not what in the educational setup. Education is a very permanent thing. We are educating generations. We are educating, people, children who are come as children to us, and then they grow as adults in this world. We are educating tomorrow's citizens. So if we are not going to show the resilience, adaptability, sustainability, I think we are then only giving literacy information to them. That is, we're making them literate, not educated. So education is a huge umbrella under which a lot of things, soft skills, as Anju ma'am is very, very, she knows the inner brain mappings and all that. I mean, I hats off to her. But all that is part of education, making it a very broader statement rather than narrowing it up to, okay, now we got into school, so let's do this, in colleges, let's do that. I think leadership is nothing like schools and colleges. Leadership is a standalone position which can put it anywhere. So adaptability, sustainability are the key mantras, according to me, to get onto this mode of operations. Thank you.
Those are the beautiful mantras I think you have given to audience, and audience, for your benefit, I'm repeating them. Accept, adapt, sustainability, resilience. These are the guru mantras which are not just defining you as a leader, but these are your roadmap to become the leader, the kind of leaders that we have sitting here in front of us. Again, I am going back to Anjum ma'am, because just now Anjali ma'am also said that the kind of soft skill Anjum ma'am is dealing with, the kind of inner brain mapping that you are working with. And I think most of us know that you are very passionate about multiple intelligence, and you want to provide the holistic learning environment and ecosystem to each and every learner. So we would like to know more about it. During disruption, do you feel these kind of practices that you are following have become better, or there is a chance of improvement, or how do you see these practices changing now?
Thank you, Dr. Seema. So first of all, I agree with Ms. Anjali Razdan. Definitely adaptability is so important. It's actually the biological paradigm, right? Of those who survive are those who adapt. And it's kind of the survival of the fittest and the most adaptable. And even if we innovate, we still have to harmonize with the environment so that it's sustainable and it can flourish. Before I get into the nuts and bolts of what it is that a leader needs to do in terms of the soft skills, I like to talk a little bit about the habits that I'm really passionate about. But another overarching theme that I always share, this quote by Alvin Toffler, who is a futurist of the previous century, but this is what he had predicted about the 21st century that we're in right now, is that the people who are illiterate will be the ones who don't learn, unlearn, and relearn. And I think that is what the COVID and the pandemic has taught us. Like, we had to be resilient. We had to keep, unlearning and relearning and adjusting to that new normal. I think one more thing that has really, really personally, as well as professionally, impacted me, that I'd like to talk about is the 7 habits of highly effective people. Though these were kind of formulated, a couple of decades ago by, the late Dr. Stephen Covey, I think they're timeless. He says that he's not come up with them. These are universal principles that are found in all the major religions of the world, major philosophies of the world. They're time-tested universal principles that we can all adopt as mindsets, as ways of being. And roughly speaking, it's habit number 1, to be proactive. So instead of becoming a reactive person and being a victim of circumstance, how do you understand what you have influence over? So you might have a great circle of concern, but what is your circle of influence, and how do you act within that circle of influence? Habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind. And that is basically having a vision and moving towards that vision, whether it's goal setting or whatever it is, but to work towards that vision. All things are created twice. So first there's a mental creation, and then there's a physical manifestation of that. Habit number 3 is basically putting first things first. So how do we prioritize? How do we keep the main thing the main thing? and how do we not let things that matter the least uh, be, we need to know how to schedule that later so they don't take up our time and attention, and that we make time for those priorities, those big rocks in our life. We put them in our jar of life first. And then that is basically achieving your private victory. Your public victory would be to basically think win-win, right? It's having an abundance mentality. It's not a win-lose situation. As a school, Glendale Academy, we were always very proactive, and we were willing to share our best practices. We were not secretive like other educators who thought that, oh, this USP, we can't like let anybody else steal it. I mean, we have learned from somebody else. We have been inspired by someone else. And that is how the world gets better. We learn from each other and we get inspired by each other. So why not share? And when we share, we get better at what we do. Sharing is empowering. And that's something that I feel was a little disruptive, I feel, in India, particularly in terms of leadership. Understanding that everything is available, but it takes time and effort to actually implement it and make it successful. So there's no harm in sharing what you're doing. Then, of course, it's to seek habit number 5, seek first to understand, then be understood. And empathy. Empathy is the basis for everything, whether it's design thinking, whether it's, everything. It's a beautiful combination of creativity and critical thinking is design thinking. And it actually starts with empathy. It starts with understanding something from another person's vantage point or viewpoint, and getting yourself out of the way and understanding, from the other side. So that's very important. And then habit number 6 is to synergize, is to have this very beautiful, interdependent, collaborative sort of spirit of teamwork and work, bridging everybody's, strengths together, that together we are much more than we are by ourselves, and harnessing that team spirit. And last but not least is habit number 7, which is sharpening the saw, continuous renewal of that whole person, the body, mind, heart, and spirit, how we're developing intellectually, but not just keeping ourselves in the head, right? But we also have to develop the heart, the social and emotional aspects. We have to also develop the body, the physical dimension, our body, as well as our ecosystem around us, our environment around us, and then of course our spirit, because we are aligned to life and its purpose. What are we here for? How do we want to leave the world? What type of impact we want to make? So I'll stop there.
So beautifully, you have presented the very holistic picture wherein heart, mind, body, and spirit, everything is working in sync. And that beautiful synergy or that beautiful symphony, I think, will make us the ideal leader, or will prepare our children to become the ideal leaders. But
I forgot
again,
to mention, sorry, we're a Leader in Me school. So that we have adopted the 7 habits for our children. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that.
That's beautiful. And the best part is, so beautifully you have shared that if we will not share the resources that we have, as a leader, a true leader is always willing to share, because the more we share, the more we learn. So this brings me to Mr. Sanjay. I can see him joining. Sanjay sir, from last half an hour, we are discussing about the disruptive leader and how the disruptive leader is leading and taking everyone forward. But at the same time, when we talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning, and we think about student, but I think Sanjay sir has, again, there's some technical issue. So Shrikant sir, can I come to you?
Can I just make one
Yes.
small little remark before you
Yes,
go
yes.
ahead? This is regards to Anju ma'am. Ma'am, you have whatever you said was music to the ears, was music to the soul, and the way you explained Stephen the Covey's the 7 habits. Some of them we are in our daily life we're doing it without realizing that oh, they are really customized habits. But what you said was so appropriate to leadership right now. Thank you so much, Anju man, for sharing it right now. My time.
The best part is when you practice it, when it is there in your system, it becomes music then, because Anju ma'am is practicing that, and it is there. She's very, very passionate about that. I think all of us know. And so beautifully you have presented a beautiful picture for us. I think by the end of this session we'll have a beautiful masterpiece. So Sanjay sir,
And the
again
right
coming back to
thing
you.
and the right thing at the right time has the best impact. And that's what she did right
True.
now. Thank
True.
you.
So Sanjay sir, coming towards the more technical aspect of leadership. I mean, these days we talk about artificial intelligence, we are talking about machine learning. So I want to know, should we use AI learning for a better understanding of students? What are your thoughts on that, and what is your thought about disruptive leader? Sanjay sir, you can unmute yourself.
No, I
Yes,
just
sir.
wanted to know the questions directed to me, or there's another Sanjay
Yes,
in
sir.
the
It's
thing.
you only, sir. You are the only Sanjay we have today.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm on a mobile. Murphy's law is perfectly applicable. So internet's down, laptop's not working. So it's back to the mobile and our Lord Savior in these times. Well, coming to AI, I personally could you, Sushma, could you just very quickly repeat that, because I kind of phased out for a minute.
So I wanted to know, I mean, we are talking about a lot of technical things these days. So do you think AI is the solution for better understanding for students? And also would like to know from you, what are your thoughts about disruptive leader?
All right. Well, first, the second part, which is disruptive leader, because I have been a great advocate of that for a very long time, because starting from the classical and new classical models of leadership, it's been proved over time that it does not really apply in most of the real life situations. Now, I might be going against what the so-called business schools have been teaching, but I have firmly believed that leadership emerges from the circumstances where you are. And if this current scenario was not a disruption, then I don't think that there will be any other ready-made disruption coming our way. Because leaders are supposed to, if not disrupt, at least bring about the change, and they're supposed to be the change makers. So, as I said, taking the second part first, disruption is something that a leader has to cause. Because no matter how good you are at what you're doing, the environment around you does not stop. It doesn't stop changing. And if you do not evolve organically, you have to do it in a knee jerk fashion. So that is where disruption comes in. So leadership per se has this involved in it, that there will be some changes which a leader will have to bring about, thereby forcing the team to adapt to the environment around. So disruption is not just for, because there is somebody who likes to be offbeat, somebody who likes to be asynchronous, somebody who just wants to stand out, somebody wants to just be different. Disruption is not for that. It is for just changing gears and elevating yourself to the next level, which the nature will demand from you from time to time. As far as AI is concerned, it's an excellent tool, because we have seen the great reluctance that teachers have had over the years to adopt technology in their teaching, because they think they can understand the student. It is a human relationship, and that they can take the decisions as and when required automatically. Now, that does not happen, because learning theories have shown over a period of time that there are patterns to learning which humans sometimes might miss. You may have your opinion, you may have your judgment, but you may not exactly know how a child is learning. Now, if AI has given us those models, then it is a blessing that has been ready-made given to us. A teacher can adopt those tools, try out different methods of learning, set them on different paths of learning, and see where the best results are coming. So here is somebody who's on the side giving you a real-time observational data for you to verify what you as a teacher instinctively know. So I think AI as a tool, as an assistant, is a great thing. But then again, I mean, I don't want to get into the debate of whether AI would versus teacher, as sometimes people unnecessarily do. Great tool to use, great pathways defined, number of options given. There is a system, there is a way the feedback loop works. Use it, leverage it to your advantage. Thank you.
Very well said, sir. Because if we use technology to empower teachers, definitely the collaboration between technology and human can result in making our children future ready. And that is what basically we look for, we as educator. Shrikant sir, I'm coming back to you. And because Sanjay sir spoke about AI technology, definitely we need to tame technology rather than just becoming the slaves of technology. But what I would like to know from you is, how can digital training of student improve skillability? Because these days we talk about skills, developing skills. So do you think technology can be one of the major tool to increase that skill?
Yes, definitely. Technology should be taught in whatever ways it can happen. So it could be the data analytics, it could be the machine learning. I mean, like enhancing the teachers' work. I mean, like making it easy. At the same time, teacher can assess the child better. I mean, if they wanted to give some personalized, customized sheets, they can give. So a lot of things. And when we talk about student scalability, definitely, because in the future, so a lot of AI-driven things might come into our day-to-day life. Of course, when we always tell that no technology can replace a teacher. So teacher, but the role of the teacher, right, from teaching, it has become to a more educator type. They're mentoring and they're guiding. And then yes, the disruption when in terms of teaching as well as in terms of learning in every aspect in a K-12 school. I mean, could be in the higher education as well, but since most of us are from K-12 schools, I mean, when we talk about the disruption, so basically the teachers learning using first that it's the teachers are finding it difficult in I mean, like taking any new thing. But then once they are accustomed to that, it is becoming very easy for them to teach the students. And we know that students will always like the teachers who are technologically more advanced. And then, of course, the school management, the leaders. When Anjum was talking about the 7 habits, so I met Dr. Anand, the Live Live, and last year there was some medicines, and just yesterday there was someone who is talking about the financial literacy. And whenever I ask, so every time I hear the name Glendale. So, oh, okay. So I always feel that, okay, these Glendale guys are always ahead of time. So where are we? So, I mean, probably I'm in a place like Guntur retired to town. So, could be. But then when I'm telling, but not the students. So the teachers and probably the school leaders in places like ours, we have our own limitations. But for the students, so yesterday we were also conducting some AR modules, and when people have come from Hyderabad talking, showing the students about the AR, and they're talking about how the Snapchat works and all. I was literally a bit clueless because I don't know that we know that Snapchat is just for chatting, but the students, grade 8 students, know a lot of features that are there in the Snapchat which I'm not aware. Seriously, I was like out of place when they're talking about the features in the Snapchat, whether it's any other social media tools that we use. Probably we use it to a certain extent. So the students, if we are teaching them, I mean, like further skills, they are always ready, particularly in terms of technology, and that's definitely going to help them. And yeah, the disruption should start from the leaders, and it has to be passed on to the teachers, and then of course to the students.
Wonderful. So the chain is, we as leaders should be ready to embrace disruption. We need to adapt to the situation. And at the same time, we need to ensure that our teachers are ready for this kind of tomorrow. And when we talk about students, definitely they are digital natives. Most of the time, I think we have learned so much from our students. So Anjali ma'am, this brings me to you, and Shrikant sir spoke about teachers. You know, it is very important when we are talking about constant change, uncertainty, ambiguity. These are few of the definition of new normal in today's workplace, whether it's school or it's any other domain. So how do you train your entire team to face this disruption, to ensure that yes, holistic learning is not just a catchphrase, but yes, each and every learner who is passing out from a school is becoming future ready?
Yeah, ma'am. Lovely question. Uh, I think the base of this whole thing is sensitivity. My first thing when I do, I'm a teacher trainer, apart from other things. And how do you take people with you? That's part of the leadership, of course, but how do you take people with you? There are one or two ways. There's a way which Hitler adopted, and he took people with him. And there's another way which, the big leaders adopt to take people with them. So The way of adoption is for sensitized people, sensitize things, sensitize situations, sensitize the people's heart to what is happening. Not that people don't know, they're all educated people, but then the sensitizing them with small ingredients of leadership is very important. And a leader should know to choose the right word at the right time. And I keep repeating this, Anju ma'am said today, it's really hit the right chord in your heart at the right moment of time. So, what I'm trying to say is that's exactly what she did. She put the right things at the right time. It made a lot of difference, to all of us right now when we're thinking. Same thing is for taking people with you. Either you quote somebody and you kind of you take it from your own self. The point is that there are best practices which you must have observed as a leader in your journey of your leadership. There are certain best practices. It may be defined by somebody in some book, or it may be the famous person saying it. But let me tell you, all of us are doing that without defining it, without really calling it by some labels and headings. We are having those things. It is just that you should know how those things come out in your own definitions. So I call it as sensitivity, right? How do you sensitize people to a student, first of all? That first and foremost, we are in the business. I'm sorry to use this word called business, but we are in the business of education, right? And though it looks very commercial term, but it's not really that way. So our core part in this whole thing would be who is the focus? The focal point is the student. And if the student was there, we have no business to be here. So if that is there, and if this is brought to the people who are your team, it makes a lot of difference. If you tell them, if you take that child out from the purview of your business, you take the child out, which we are doing most of the times, let me tell you, we're taking the child out, we're forgetting that there is a child there whom we have to kind of, he's a primary customer, so to say. So we're taking out of the scenario, we're all looking at ourselves, our conveniences, our whims and fancies. Then I guess we are not able to take people along with us, because that's very short lived. In the long term plans, you have to literally change the mindset of people who are, who are your frontline soldiers. And for us, frontline soldiers are who are the people who are implementing it. Because we as leaders can just give directions, but you can't implement it physically in 10,000 places, can you? So therefore, get your frontline people changed. So, but then one mantra is sensitivity. Bring that and use all your skills to get the sensitivity across. Number two is I use a lot of humor. That's my way of operations. I use a lot of humor, and for me, humor is not jokes. Humor is not, just joking around and making people laugh. But humor is a lot of wit there, a lot of wisdom, and put in such a way that it comes across to people very easily. People love humor. Who doesn't like to be told that you better pick that up, otherwise you're going to do that? If I say it in the manner that of dictatorship, person will not do it. But if I say that in a lovely humorous manner with soft skills all incorporated, it's going to happen. So humor is a big dissolver of walls. Humor is a big, weapon which we can use. Weapon is again a wrong word, but humor is a tool which you can use for getting difficult things being done. There's a lovely quote in Hindi, and I love this quote. It's coming from an advertisement which says, "Zor ka jhatka dheere se." You can do a bigger impact by a very small steps, and use humor. Trust me, it'll dissolve all the resistance which people have within themselves, because then they feel connected to the person. Because I think what you're saying is right, and you're saying it with a smile, and you're saying it with a lot of humor, which means you do it. I better think that you do it, but then let's do it nicely in a friendly way. That is very important in my aspect of maybe whatever you call it, by transformation or whatever. The change, if ever it has to be brought, and if it's a lot of resistance you're getting, use humor abundantly and not jokes. By the way, there's a difference. So I hope I rest my case. I
So
hope it's
I think
covered.
it's mindful humor that you need to use. And beautifully
Yes.
said, we need to come out of the fixed mindset and go towards the growth mindset. I mean, these are not just jargons or terms. We really need to change our outlook. And beautifully you said sensitivity. When sensitivity towards your heart, mind, spirit, then definitely you are building a very, very strong team. And Sanjay sir, I'm coming to you now. I mean, these days we talk a lot about innovation because definitely disruption has paved way for innovation. Now, when we speak about innovation, we in school talk about STEM education, then came STEAM education, wherein A was art integration. Now it is STEAM with one more E, and that E is the E of entrepreneurship. So, how do we prepare our young learners for this very, very pertinent skill right from the beginning?
Ma'am, Razdan talked a lot about practicality in education rather than going for the jargon and going for certain vocabulary which defines an attitude. It is your own growth mindset, which you yourself talked about, which plays a big role in the way a kid is motivated towards learning. You see, I come from a background where we've seen kids getting very, very highly motivated to join, let us say, defense forces. Now, these were kids who never thought of anything else. They lived, they breathed, they eat, everything, their mannerisms just are aimed at one thing, to make an officer out of them. Now, when you look at today's environment, kids are inclined towards opening their own things, startups, businesses, ideas. Entrepreneurship is something that is gradually creeping into our societal settings now. There was a time when kids grew up to do a job. Now these are college going kids who are already starting something of their own. I was watching the Sharks the other day and I realized that look at these, look at their age, look at their courage. Where did they get that learning from? When you look at the NEP, you realize that the seeds are being sown, where you're talking about kids being taken to industries very early. Now, the idea is to shape the kind of future that they may have, rather than keep them restricted to books and later on explore them, leaving them to explore how the market is once they get out of, let us say, college, if not school. So I think we were delaying that a whole lot, which is now changing. And our focus is going towards skill subjects. We are talking about industrial visits. We are talking about bringing parents in to introduce children to what kind of professions that are available as of now. I mean, I liked what somebody had written, that all I want to know is how to make my living. Why are you teaching me these subjects? So probably we don't teach banking at an early age. We don't teach children how to go and operate a bank account. We don't teach them how to invest their money, whatever little money they may be getting right from their beginning in their lives. We never tell them that. But those are the problems that you grapple once you are out of college. Because with all your education and with all your fundamentals in place, which is the justification for teaching subjects which are non-technical, what is a person expected to do? Make a living. How do you make your living? There are no tools given to me. I have theoretical knowledge about how the plane flies, and I know how what the history of my country has been. I know a lot of chemicals. I understand all that, but how do I apply it? So I think now we are at the edge of that wave where we are beginning to talk about this mindset of how to go about your life, and entrepreneurship forms the basis of that, because we are linking everything to market forces for the first time in our history, and we are not ashamed. Otherwise, we were always talking about, uh, how to make do in less, how to be more economical. This is the first time when we are talking about an expanding economy. We are talking about kids becoming entrepreneurs, getting their ideas seeded, getting their ideas funded, going out and making it big. So my personal take on this is that yes, we have started talking about it now. There are certain policies which have been put in place which will over the years allow children the flexibility. The skill subjects that have been given to us in schools should be explored more. Industry should be brought into the schools and schools taken to industries. We should have an upward connectivity with universities, which is the launching pad for many of these nebulous ideas. And I think we're all well on our way.
Wonderfully put up. I think you have really given us a toolkit to now see to it that we are promoting these kind of subject. We are promoting this kind of mindset because when I try to summarize what each one of you have told till now, I mean, so beautifully the picture is presented that first of all we need to take care of everything because we are talking about sustainable living. We also need to develop the kind of connect and share with others. Also, at the same time, the community that we are a part of, and the community where we want to take our children. And at the same time, Sanjay sir, what you said, that we need to learn from our culture also, because if we do not know where we are coming from, we will not know where we are going. So that was such a mindful amalgamation of so many things. So now I'm coming to the last round of this. Each one of you are a distinct individual. You are unique in your own self. You are following unique practices. Each one of you have a different and distinct story. All I want to know from you is, for the benefit of audience, one golden nugget that you would like to share with them that will become a lifelong learning for them. Anju ma'am, we'll start from you. Any golden nugget that you would like to share with the audience?
Um, well, I think in relation to the topic for today, I mean, that was Alvin Toffler's quote. In the 21st century, the illiterate won't be one who can't read or write, but the one who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn. So I think the last phrase I'd like to leave with is, we all have to be lifelong learners as both educators, as leaders, and we need to encourage the same for our children, because they're going to have to keep changing and editing and adapting and harmonizing, and being sustainable and more and more humane as the world progresses.
So, audience, you need to understand that the cycle, you need to keep on churning the cycle of learn, unlearn, relearn if you really want to be the future leader. This brings me to Shrikant sir. Yes, sir, your golden nuggets for the audience.
Yeah, give the opportunity to the students on their entrepreneurship, as just like Sanjay sir told E. So along with the entrepreneurship, I mean, we need to also not forget about teaching them the empathy. So, and of course, we are also talking about the emotional intelligence and the adversity quotient. So these are very important when technology is taking over too many things in their day-to-day life. So we should not forget teaching them the empathy and like the adaptability. And rest of it, of course, as usual, Anjum ma'am, you should actually ask Anjum ma'am to talk at the last, because she tells whatever the other speakers on the panel wanted to talk. So
That
that's it
was
from me. Thank you.
rightly put up. That was really rightly put up. Yes, Anjali ma'am, coming for your golden nuggets.
Okay, I'll put it this way. I think all the entire education system should ultimately aim at being a good human being. I think they've forgotten that they should fundamentally be a good human being, and also I would like it to be associated with happiness. Happiness quotient in our country is abyssally small. It's gone down so much. The top is Netherlands, I'm told, which is supposed to be a very happy country. The rest of it, and we are second last in happiness quotient. And why the reason? Because I guess we learn to be unhappy from day one, the way we are born, and education further makes it even more terrible experience for us. So I would like to end up with, if that's the end, saying that let's be a good human being. Let's make a good human being first, and let's make a happy good human being who can spread this. Because when you look back in your schools, on your education system, you should look back with happiness, and that, oh, I was so happy, rather than looking back with, oh God, I'm glad I'm out of that, and right now where am I? So happiness and being a good human being, my mantras.
Wonderful. Definitely. Happiness is the key element. I mean, happiness is something that keeps us going. We all want to be happy human beings first. So, sir, coming to you, Sanjay sir, what are your golden nuggets for the audience?
Well, Anjali ma'am has said it. Happiness is the key. And but since she said it, and I am supposed to say something, I'll fall back on Longfellow, because I think it fits this time. It says, "Trust no future, however certain. Let the dead past bury its dead. Act in the living present. Heart within, God overhead." So I think, Anjali ma'am, if you say happiness, I think this is the way to happiness. Just act in the living present, and the future will take care of itself with God on our side.
So this is the power of a beautiful panel when you have empowered panelists who believe in walking the talk, because it is not about going to Google and doing your research and presenting in front of you. It is about each one of them spoke about the practices that they are following. I can see a lot of questions also in the chat box, but most of the questions were answered during their deliberation. And to end, I would just like to say, and I'll culminate everything. All we need to do is we need to look around, because when we look around, we see that the entire world is ready to collaborate. And we need to look beyond. When we look beyond, we see creativity in each and everything. Then at the same time, we need to look deep also. When we look deep, then critical thinking start taking place, which is definitely needed. We need to look within. We need to pause some time and we need to self introspect. And last but not the least, we need to look above. When we look above, we see the infinite sky. We see the abundance of opportunities that are there. So embrace that abundance and manifest. The way Anjum ma'am said, we need to manifest things, but before that we actually need to believe in that. If we believe, we can achieve. And rightly Anjali ma'am spoke about wisdom and weapon. So Anjali ma'am, we had this Women's Day, right? Yesterday itself, day before yesterday. So a woman has the right to weapon as well as wisdom, which is called Shastra and Shastra, Atmagyan and Atmaraksha. And you have mixed it so well with a portrait of a leader. So thank you so much. And Sanjay sir, you have given us so much insight about how technology, how entrepreneur skill, how future readiness is the key mantra to move ahead. And with this, all of us, we would like to thank Elets and we would like to thank World Education Summit for giving us this platform to speak about the practices that we are following. So thank you so much. And one important skill that everybody has to maintain is maintain the time. And I think we have done it so beautifully.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much.
Seema. You are
Thank you
beautiful
for
as well.
managing it so well. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. In fact, this is
Wonderful
wonderful to see
having
you all, having actually put up the time limit in such a beautiful way because it often happens when people speak, they don't realize that the time limit is going on. But yes, it's beautiful, and I'm thankful to Dr. Seema Negi for a wonderful moderation. I am so inspired by you now, ma'am. In fact, it has been beautiful. And I would like to thank all our panelists now, Dr. Seema Negi, Principal, Sanjeevani World School, Mr. Shrikant B. Koganti, Director, Kennedy School, Guntur, Ms. Anjum Babu Khan, Director, Education, Glendale Academy, Ms. Anjali Razdan, Director, Academics, Miluha International School, and Mr. Sanjay Datta, Principal, Maharana Mewar Public School. I would ask my backend team to now display the speaker certificates, please. If my backend team can display the speaker certificates. It was great. In fact, I thought that in between, if we, we ended up losing out a lot of speakers in between, courtesy technology. But then we have seen that happening in live events as well.
that.
Adaptability, dear, adaptability.
Yes.
We all adapted.
Exactly.
I
And
ran
going
from a
ahead with
mobile.
disruption.
I ran from a mobile to the laptop to the mobile to the laptop again, dropped in between, but adaptability. It was terrible
Adaptability.
adaptability.
The last 2 years have actually taught us to be so very adaptable now that I think we have become pros at being adaptable at any kind of situation.
Absolutely, we learned it. And Dr. Seema, you were so good. You were so good. I mean, to get answers from people, stalwarts like
Exactly.
Anjum,
That's what
Sanjeev,
exactly I said
to
that
get answers from
Dr.
us
Seema, you were
is a big
seriously like
task.
kind of an inspiration.
I think
Thank you
So
so
thank
much.
I
you,
think
thank
But
Siva,
you.
when
this
you
is
have,
the second or the third
thank
time.
you.
It's the
But when
second
you
or
have
third time
such,
that you
yes,
have done that for us, and it's always a pleasure.
and
And in
when you have
fact,
such
second
empowered
time around
speaker,
with Ma'am, yeah, and second time around with Ma'am Babu Khan around, I mean, I would like to know more about your 7 habits and how you've been incorporating that, but that
Oh,
on
you
a
must
one-to-one some other
spend
time.
time with her. I'm telling you,
yes,
you are going to get the ABC of everything. That's enough when you're with her. And one more thing is I've been in so many other discussions earlier, and everything was very textual. This is the first time I kind of liked the discussions because none of us were textual. All of us spoke from the heart, I think, right? And that
Yeah,
was the beauty of learning. I think that was very, very beautiful. Thank you so much.
always, always. I
Thank
think we're just about closing time.
Yeah, we are just actually waiting for the backend team to display your speaker certificates. They'll be, in fact, we
Second
have
and
the speaker
granted.
certificates for you. Just another 10 seconds and they'll be on air. The speaker certificates will be on air.
Okay,
Yes,
we
we
can
have a
see
speaker
this.
certificate now from Miss Anjali Razan. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you,
Miss
thank
Anjali
you,
Razan, Director Academics, Miluha International School, Hyderabad. One for Miss Anjum Babu Khan, Director Education, Glendale Academy, Hyderabad. Thank you so much, ma'am.
thank you.
For Dr. Seema Negi, Principal Sanjeevani World School, Mumbai. She was a wonderful moderator, no doubt. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here. For Mr. Shrikant B. Koganti, Director, Kennedy School, Guntur. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us time from your busy schedule and joining in from the mobile as well. Thank you so much.
Are we going to get these certificates and
Yes, ma'am. You will be sent. Yeah, you will be send it to. You will be sending it to you through email as well.
Okay.
One for Mr. D. Senthil Kumar. Can we have for Mr. Sanjay Datta as well? The certificate for Mr. Sanjay Datta, Principal, Maharana Mewar Public School. Yeah, there's a certificate for Mr. Sanjay Datta, Principal, Maharana Mewar Public School, Udaipur. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in. Thank you all the speakers. Thank you all the panelists. Have a great day. We also have some stalls out there from our sponsors, which will be very useful. In fact, it will be great if you can visit those stalls. And we have a few more sessions throughout the day today and tomorrow. If you would like to be, a part as delegate of those sessions as well, we can have you in there. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you,
Once
everyone.
again,
Have a
thank
great
you,
day.
everyone. Have a
Thank
lovely
you.
Thank you so
evening.
much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody. Thank you.